What's up, guys? This is Tariq Johnson here. All right, so I wanted to make this video real quick on how I paid off over $20,000 of debt in 8 months. Now, some of you guys might go, "Come on, that just is not possible." And look, at that time, I really didn't think it was possible either. This was a number of years ago. It's fresh off of me having purchased my first house. And actually, it was the beginning process of starting to purchase my first home. And at that time, I had accumulated a lot of debt. And for me, it really wasn't debt on buying dumb or stupid things. A lot of it was going to seminars and personal development programs and a bunch of different things that I had spent the money on. But the thing is that it became a habit of me spending money on these credit cards. And so the first thing in order to pay off a lot of debt that is incredibly important, it's to stop sweeping it under the rug. I know that for me, when I was in that debt, I felt a lot of emotions about it. Man, I felt guilty. It caused me to feel depressed. And I did not want to open up those credit card statements. I didn't want to see how much interest I was paying. I didn't want to see what the total was. So really, I didn't even know at that point the total amount of debt that I've accumulated. And in my many years of having worked as a financial advisor since, and having worked intimately with people with their personal financial situation, that's the case with most people that are in debt. They have no idea the amount of money that they're in debt. And so here's the first step that I used in order to pay off all that debt is I went through and I stopped sweeping it under the rug. I went and I made a list of all the credit card companies that I had accounts with. I listed the balance for each company. I listed the minimum payment for each company, and then I listed the percentage that I was paying in terms of interest. And so I went through that. I got that all on paper so I could see it. And whoo, it's not a fun feeling to see all those different balances. But there's a power in knowing. So once I wrote down all those credit cards that I had balances with, what the minimum payments are, what the interest rates were, what I did was I set a goal, and honestly, I really didn't know how I was going to pay off all that debt. I honestly, at this point, I mean, it was so many years ago, I don't even remember what the goal was that I set in terms of when I wanted to have the debt paid off, but it's important to have an end date in mind. So set that goal in terms of when you want to have that debt paid off. And so depending upon how much debt you have and what your income is, you have to set either a percentage or a flat amount per month of how you want to pay off that debt. So what I did was I was using a specific money management system for my money at that time. I had decided that every single dollar that I earned, I was going to put about 30 to 35% of my take-home pay towards my credit card debt. Now, I was in a role for my work where I got paid off of my performance. So I was paid off of the revenue that I generated for the company. So fortunately, I used a variety of tactics, and I was super motivated. I was listening to Tony Robbins all the time, and I was able to have really good performance. So I started having months of 10, 11, 12, $15,000 income months. And so what I was doing was I was allocating 30 and then sometimes 40% of my income towards paying off that debt. So, and before I even started making that income, what I started to do was I started to retrain my mind and use something that a lot of people know about, which is the law of attraction. So I started to write down the amount of money that I wanted to make that next month, and I would actually practice handwrite allocating out what exactly I would do with that money when I made it. So I'd write down, all right, if I made $12,000 in a month, and after my benefits and 401k and all these different things, let's say I was in a net $7,000 after taxes, then I would allocate every dollar of that $7,000, what percentage was going towards my debt? What percentage was going towards paying my expenses? What percentage was going toward paying my expenses? And I would do that exercise over and over and over and over again. I wasn't yet making the money, but the exercise was training my brain. So once I did have that month and I received that income, I knew exactly where that money was going. And I kept using that process over and over and over again in order to pay off the debt. And so with the combination of me being very motivated and being driven to pay off the debt, having that goal and that strategy, I started having some really good income months, and I was paying off a lot of money towards that debt. So, I'll make more videos on more of the details, but I wanted to go over what my specific strategy and tactic that I used. So again, make sure that you have a strategy, make sure that you have a goal, make sure that you write down exactly how much debt you have. You have to see it on paper. You have to see what your monthly payments are, what your balances are, what your interest rates are. And then a part that I did leave out actually is that you need to make sure that you start paying off the credit cards that have the highest interest rates first. Because if you have a credit card that has 10% that you're paying on and another credit card that you're having 20%, well, just that interest payment alone can make it longer and longer for you to pay off that debt. So that's the thing. There's a lot of methods out there on how to pay off debt. Me personally, I targeted the ones that had the highest interest rates first. And that's how I was able to pay off over $20,000 of debt in 8 months. And I want you to know that it's possible for you. It's totally possible to pay off that debt. If you're saying, I'm not really making a lot of money and I'm only making this much and I have a lot more debt, then what you need to do is figure out a way to make more money. So whether that's driving Uber or doing some freelancing on the side, or driving Lyft, or whatever it is, figure out a way to make more money so that you can expedite paying off your debt. Look, debt is a modern form of slavery and bondage, and the quicker that you get out of debt is the quicker that you can have more financial freedom in your life. So I hope this helps. I'll see you guys on the next one. Oh guys, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe. I'm gonna have a lot more videos on money.